Okay. Good morning, everyone. Mary, Claudine, Ahmed, can you hear me? Okay, thank you. Good morning to all. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meeting of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is disclosed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the State Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted in the Department of Education, Secretary of State's office. A notice has been given to the State House Press Corps, the Governor's office, and the State Board Agenda subscribers. And as a quorum is present, this meeting will now come to order. May I please have a motion?
So move.
Thank you very much, Dr. Butcher. May I please have a second?
Second.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Mr. Ponte. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank
Aye.
you. Any opposed, please say nay. Very good. And now I would like to call this meeting immediately into executive session, whereas in order to protect the personal privacy and avoid situations wherein the public interest might be disturbed, the Open Public Meetings Act permits public bodies to exclude the public from that portion of a meeting at which certain matters are discussed. Now, therefore be it resolved that consistent with the provision of NJSA 10:4-12B, the State Board of Education will now adjourn to executive session to discuss personnel and legal matters. May I please have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you very much, Board Member Bob Rose. May I please have a second, Dr. Butcher?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Great, thank you. I believe it is unanimous. All those, we will be back at 10 a.m. And if those on the screen could please mute both their cameras and their microphones and call in. Thank you very much.
Remember that teacher who changed your life? You could be that teacher in New Jersey. You'll help shape the next generation alongside a dedicated community of educators. New Jersey has some of the best public schools in the country with competitive salaries, valuable benefits, and a solid pension plan. So be that teacher. Make an impact. Teach, Inspire, New Jersey. To learn more, visit teachinspire.nj.gov. If you're a teacher, you've had students tell you how much you mean to them. And for everyone who does, more feel that way but may not say it. Remember that teacher who changed your life? You're that teacher to a lot of people. Teach, Inspire, New Jersey. If you're a teacher, you've probably had students tell you how much you mean to them. And for everyone who does, there are more who feel that way but may not say it. You can't know how many, but it's more than you think. Because you've done more than teach. You've inspired. Remember that teacher who changed your life? You're that teacher to a lot of people. Teach, inspire, New Jersey.
¿Recuerda a aquel maestro que le cambió la vida? Usted podría ser ese maestro en Nueva Jersey. Únase a la comunidad de educadores que ayudará a formar a la próxima generación. Nueva Jersey cuenta con algunas de las mejores escuelas públicas del país, con salarios competitivos, beneficios atractivos y un sólido plan de pensiones. Sea ese maestro. Deje huella. Enseñe, inspire. Nueva Jersey. Visite teachinspire.nj.gov.
Remember that teacher who changed your life? You could be that teacher. New Jersey has some of the best public schools in the country with competitive salaries and valuable benefits. Be that teacher. Visit teachinspire.nj.gov. Remember that teacher who changed your life? You could be that teacher in New Jersey. You'll help shape the next generation alongside a dedicated community of educators. New Jersey has some of the best public schools in the country with competitive salaries, valuable benefits, and a solid pension plan. So be that teacher. Make an impact. Teach, Inspire, New Jersey. To learn more, visit teachinspire.nj.gov. If you're a teacher, you've had students tell you how much you mean to them. And for everyone who does, more feel that way but may not say it. Remember that teacher who changed your life? You're that teacher to a lot of people. Teach, Inspire, New Jersey. If you're a teacher, you've probably had students tell you how much you mean to them. And for everyone who does, there are more who feel that way but may not say it. You can't know how many, but it's more than you think. Because you've done more than teach. You've inspired. Remember that teacher who changed your life? You're that teacher to a lot of people. Teach, Inspire, New Jersey.
¿Recuerda a aquel maestro que le cambió la vida? Usted podría ser ese maestro en Nueva Jersey. Únase a la comunidad de educadores que ayudará a formar a la próxima generación. Nueva Jersey cuenta con algunas de las mejores escuelas públicas del país, con salarios competitivos, beneficios atractivos y un sólido plan de pensiones. Sea ese maestro. Deje huella. Enseñe, inspire. Nueva Jersey. Visite teachinspire.nj.gov.
Remember that teacher who changed your life? You could be that teacher. New Jersey has some of the best public schools in the country with competitive salaries and valuable benefits. Be that teacher. Visit teachinspire.nj.gov.
Motion.
Thank you very much. May I please have a second?
Second.
Thank you very much. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Wonderful. Any opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? We will begin unanimously. Board Member Fernaro, would you be kind enough to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge
Allegiance
allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of
of
America
America,
and to the
to the
republic
republic
for which it
for which it
stands,
stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under God,
under God.
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Welcome back, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I would like to welcome those of you here with us personally in Trenton, and I would like to also please let everyone know that State Board Vice President Johnson was unexpectedly not able to join us today. Therefore, I will be leading today's meeting remotely. Additionally, if I experience any technical difficulties and am unable to perform the duties of president remotely, I will appoint a temporary chair to serve in my behalf. So I'd like to please go ahead and announce that the State Board meetings are accessible to the public for viewing on Department's YouTube channel. I would like to advise that YouTube provides readily accessible language translation options for closed captioning. Also, if you are viewing this simulcast currently, you may use settings option in YouTube for information about subtitles, automatic translations, and closed captioning in multiple languages. Regarding our meeting that we held on March 5th, 2025, I'd like to please ask the board members to vote on the minutes. May I please have a motion for the approval of the minutes from the March 5th, 2025 meeting?
So moved.
Thank you very much, Board Member Bobroth. May I please have a second?
Second.
Thank you very much. I believe that was Board Member Berry. Thank you very much. So all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries with the approval of the minutes. Thank you so much. Regarding public testimony today, the State Board of Education will receive public testimony on the Religious Holidays Candle Resolution, the Civic Event Amendments to Chapter 32, the School District Operations, and the amendments to Chapter 27, Student Transportation. Our State Board members, Arcilio Aponte, Jack Fernaro, and Mary Bennett, are scheduled to sit for testimony today. They will resume 30 minutes after our board meeting concludes. In May, the State Board will accept public testimony on the readoption with amendments of Chapter 8, Standards and Assessments. It will be an open topic session, which means the public can speak on any educational topic of their choosing. Registration for the May 7th public testimony session will open on April 17th and close at noon on May the 1st. We have our State Board permanent student representative with us, who we're just delighted to have, Anna Paskowitz. She is a senior at Palmyra High School in Burlington County. Her advisors are Mrs. Kelly Jones and Ms. Kim Martino. I believe Ms. Kim Martino is accompanying Anna today. Please rise and let us thank you. Thank you. Also in the audience, we have incoming student representative Kayleen DeRose, a rising junior from East Brunswick High School. She is here to observe today, along with her advisor, Bonnie Pencard. Kayleen will assume her role in July. Welcome, Anna. I understand that you have some remarks to share with us, and when you are ready, please offer your remarks to us, and thank you very much.
Thank you, President Goldenberg, and good morning, everyone. Year after year, students are graduating from the New Jersey education system and moving on to future endeavors, whether that be college, trade school, the workforce, the military, or one of many other available choices. A question asked by many is, what are schools doing to prepare students for the next step in their individual careers? Furthermore, what is going well and where is there room for improvement? I sent out a survey through the New Jersey Association of Student Council's social media and monthly advisors update to ask students their opinion on how prepared they felt for their futures. I received over 80 responses from many different schools, providing valuable insight on this important subject. First, I asked each student to rate how well prepared their school made them feel for their next step in life on a scale of 1 to 5, with 1 being the least prepared and 5 being extremely prepared. Not surprisingly, the least selected category was 1, with only 1.2% of students claiming to be as least prepared as possible. 18.1% of students selected a 2, 36.1% of students selected a 3, and the largest proportion of 38.6% of students selected a 4. What did surprise me was how few students selected a 5 as their answers. Only 6% of answers claimed that they felt as prepared as possible for their next step in life. This statistic represents the room for growth when it comes to helping students feel ready for their futures. The next question was, what programs, classes, or initiatives did your school provide that prepared you for college? The most common answer was advanced placement, or AP, and dual enrollment classes, which allow students to get a feel for what college classes will be like and potentially earn some college credits for taking those classes. Another common answer was career-focused clubs, such as Health Occupation Students of America, HOSA, and Future Business Leaders of America, FBLA. These clubs allow students the opportunity to get a real feel for what they're interested in and begin learning about the background of the field. Many of the responses also contain some mention of electives, such as business and finance courses, which allow students to get a better idea for a major they might focus on in college. These courses also contain general knowledge about handling money, which can help students manage paying for college and learning about loans and debt. The third question was, what programs, classes, or initiatives were offered at your school that helped you feel prepared for a trade or job? The most common answer was woodshop. This was followed by financial literacy courses, as many students stated that the skills learned in these classes were applicable to many trades and occupations, as well as day-to-day life. Some students mentioned culinary arts programs, art classes such as photography, or journalism courses. However, an overwhelming number of students answered that their school had few or no opportunities preparing them for the workforce, only classes focused on preparing for college. One student even specifically noted that they would love to see some auto mechanic or electrical classes enter their school's curriculum. These types of classes can actually help students learn life skills in addition to teaching the foundations of a trade. For example, an auto mechanic shop could teach students how to change a tire. The final question was, what do you feel your school can improve on to prepare students for their future, no matter the path taken? The most common answer given by students was that they would like to see more classes focused on basic life skills rather than the typical academic focus. Specifically, students mentioned that their want for more classes on how to network and better interact with others, prepare taxes, settle debt, handle an interview, and more. Students also pointed out that despite the overwhelming number of AP classes, they felt that more preparation was needed to handle the workload in these rigorous courses. Students mentioned that they wished they had classes that involved things such as time management or study habits that could benefit large numbers of students, no matter what field they were interested in pursuing. Some students also took the idea of future preparedness a step further, mentioning that they would like to see more guidance in determining what path they should take in their future, rather than being expected to figure it out on their own. Often students don't have any real idea of what they want to do with the rest of their life at such a young age. Helping students feel as prepared as possible for their future is no small task, as each student has their own individual goals and paths that they wish to embark on after graduation. It's something that will never be perfect, but can always be improved upon. At the end of the day, it's important that students have a say in their own futures while simultaneously getting the help they need from their schools. Whether a student is striving for college, a trade school, the workforce, or something else, it's critically important that their voices are heard so that they can be best set up for their futures. Thank you.
That was wonderful. Thank you. I'm also surprised how few felt they were ready. Would anyone else like to comment at this time?
I just wanted to thank you. I think this is really interesting. Surveys like this are fascinating, particularly when it's coming from the peer. So I think that they're being honest. And I have to say, the maturity and introspection is really impressive. And the fact that we now have high school students say, I want a class on how to prepare taxes. I think it's really eye-opening to really where our kids are. And that's really awesome. So thank you for sharing this.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. And now I would like to have, please, a resolution We have a resolution to consider in recognition of the month of the military child within New Jersey. And happily for us, Mary Beth Berry will read the resolution at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, President Goldenberg. Resolution in recognition of the month of the military child in New Jersey. Whereas the month of April 2025 has been designated nationally as the month of the military child by the Department of Defense to underscore the important role military children play in the armed forces community. And whereas the New Jersey State Board of Education and the Department of Education aim to ensure that through the policies established, that emotionally and physically for college, careers, and throughout life. And whereas the Department of Education encourages school districts to provide support to children of service members as they transition between schools to address their distinct needs and prepare them to graduate as well-rounded citizens. And whereas the physical, social, and emotional well-being of children in military families is essential to their success and has a direct impact on the resiliency of military families serving our country. And whereas these efforts and supports can improve the lives of military children to help pave the way for future generations. And whereas it is both fitting and proper that special recognition be given to ensure military children feel safe and supported in our schools and communities so that their parents can focus on the challenges and missions they face in the line of duty. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the New Jersey State Board of Education and the Commissioner of Education recognize April 2025 as the month of the military child in New Jersey.
Thank you very much, Board Member Berry. And now I'd like to please ask for a motion to accept this resolution.
Motion.
Thank you very much. May I please ask for a second?
Second.
Thank you. Are there any comments at this time or questions? Hearing none, I'd like to please ask for the vote. All those in favor of accepting this resolution, please say aye.
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 Thank you. Any opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? The motion carries, and I'd like to also announce that the resolution will be presented by State Board Member Mary Beth Berry during the Month of the Military Child Proclamation signing event on April 4th, 2025 at the McGuire Air Force Base. Mr. Ambrose Duckett, our Assistant Commissioner for the Division of Field Support and Services, and Mr. Ralph Hogue, the Office of Strategic Operations, will also be in attendance. Thank you very much. Any other comments at this time? Thank you, Mary Beth. We appreciate your efforts. Thank you. And now we'd like to go ahead with the resolution in recognition of the School Library Month in New Jersey. And I would like to please ask Claudine Keenan to read the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. The resolution in recognition of School Library Month in New Jersey. Whereas the month of April 2025 has been designated nationally as School Library Month by the American Association of School Librarians, and whereas the New Jersey State Board of Education recognizes that information literacy skills are necessary and essential for students to become active, informed citizens and contributing members of local, state, national, and global communities. And whereas school librarians provide information literacy instruction so that students learn to think critically, to make informed decisions, and create and share knowledge in preparation for post-secondary success. And whereas school libraries are the heart of schools, promoting literacy, equity, diversity and inclusion, and serving as a center for voluntary inquiry through open access to resources to foster students' growth and development. And whereas school library media specialists provide literature appreciation activities, as well as guide and encourage content and recreational reading, honoring students' right to read. And whereas school library media specialists work collaboratively with all content areas, promoting activities with the goal of increasing literacy rates and students' academic success. And whereas it is both fitting and proper that special recognition be given to school libraries and the role of certified school library media specialists, recognizing their professionalism, honor, work ethic, and performance as trusted information professionals now, therefore be it resolved that the New Jersey State Board of Education and the Commissioner of Education recognize April 2025 as School Library Month in New Jersey. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. I'd like to please ask for a motion to accept this resolution.
So moved.
So moved.
Thank you. I believe I heard Board Member Bobrow first, and I would like a second, please, if I could, Board Member Claudine Keenan. I think you were next. Thank you. Is there any discussion at this time? Hearing none, I'd like to please ask for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Thank you. Any opposed, please say nay. Are there any abstentions at this time? Hearing none, the motion carries unanimously, and I would like to please recognize Ms. Karen Grant, President for the New Jersey Association of School Librarians, and Ms. Mary Moyer, Legislative Consultant for New Jersey NJASL, in the audience. Ms. Grant, if you would accept the resolution and come to the podium, please, and say a few words. And then if you'd be so kind as to pose afterwards with Commissioner Damer and Board Member Claudine Keenan for photos. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. On behalf of the New Jersey Association of School Librarians, I would like to thank you, Ms. Goldenberg, members of the State Board of Education, and Commissioner Demmer for proclaiming April as School Library Month. Recognizing the value of school libraries and school library media specialists in New Jersey is an important step toward building awareness of the significant impact that we can have on students' overall education. Reading and literacy skills are only the baseline of what school library media specialists promote. Today, school librarians collaborate with other instructional staff to teach information literacy and digital fluency within the curriculum in order to prepare students to be critical thinkers, problem solvers, and ethical digital citizens, skills that we know will ensure both college and workplace success. We work tirelessly to prepare students to become informed and literate global citizens. Thank you once again for declaring April 2025 as School Library Month in New Jersey.
Thank you very, very much. And now we have our third resolution in recognition of Autism Awareness Month in New Jersey. And I'd like to please have a motion for this at this time.
So moved.
So moved.
Thank you. Thank you. I believe the first person I heard was Board Member Bobrov, and the second person, I'm sorry, who was it?
Bennett.
Thank you very much.
Mary Bennett.
Thank you very much, Ms. Bennett. I appreciate you so much. Thank you very much. Now, if I could please ask that we will have Board Member Jeanette Pena read the resolution. Thank you.
Resolution in recognition. Thank you. Resolution in recognition of Autism Acceptance Month in New Jersey. Whereas the month of April is globally acknowledged as Autism Acceptance Month, dedicated to increasing awareness, understanding, and acceptance of autism spectrum disorder. And whereas it is important to recognize and support individuals with autism by fostering a learning environment and community that embraces neurodiversity and promotes inclusivity. And whereas autism spectrum disorders are characterized by a range of challenges and strengths impacting social communication, behavior, and sensory experiences. And whereas raising awareness about autism is essential in promoting early diagnosis, intervention, and access to appropriate resources and support. And whereas creating an inclusive and supportive environment for individuals with autism involves promoting understanding, empathy, and acceptance within schools, workplaces, homes, and communities. And whereas the New Jersey State Board of Education and the Commissioner of Education acknowledge the importance of fostering understanding and support for individuals on the autism spectrum and recognizing their unique social and emotional needs. And whereas creating inclusive and supportive learning environments that cultivate positive relationships, understanding, and empathy for all students, including those with autism, is integral to the mission of the Department of Education. And whereas the New Jersey State Board of Education and the Commissioner of Education are committed to promoting inclusive practices within educational settings to ensure safe, supportive, and equitable learning environments for all. And whereas collaboration among schools, families, and the broader community is essential to enhancing awareness and understanding of autism and to furthering inclusive practices that benefit every student. Whereas the New Jersey State Board of Education and the Commissioner of Education recognize the ongoing efforts required to advance autism awareness and acceptance, contributing to the creation of a more compassionate and inclusive community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the New Jersey State Board of Education and the Commissioner of Education hereby recognize April 2025 as Autism Awareness Month in New Jersey.
Thank you, Board Member Pena. Appreciate you. And now that we have the motion on the table, is there any further discussion at this time? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? The motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Could we please recognize Suzanne Buchanan, Executive Director, Doreen Blow, Public Policy Director, Devin Baker, Deputy Public Policy Director for Autism New Jersey, and Angie Tenner, Occupational Therapist at the Children's Center of Monmouth County. Today we have in the audience. And then we would like to ask Angie Tenner to accept our resolution, come to the podium and say a few words, and afterwards, could we please ask you to pose with Commissioner Damer and Board Member Jeanette Pena for photos. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Damer, and thank you all for the honor of receiving this proclamation on behalf of Autism New Jersey. I've been an occupational therapist for more than 25 years. at a center-based private school in Monmouth County where I work. Sorry, April is always a very big deal at our school. The hallways are always lined with decorations celebrating individuals with autism. We hold a month-long fundraiser, selling items at bake sales, t-shirts, and student-made projects. The students at our school know they are loved and accepted. A few years ago, I was arranging cupcakes and cookies on our cart for our autism acceptance bake sale when I heard the news. 2 of our students had passed away in a house fire. They were 20-year-old twins with autism. They had been attending our school since preschool. I had one of those boys in my classroom that year. He was always smiling, he loved snacks, and he loved dancing with Michael Jackson music. Other family members were able to escape, but the twins couldn't. They passed away about 7 minutes from here in Trenton's West Ward on April 2nd, 2022, exactly 3 years ago today. It was absolutely devastating. The only consolation was that the twins passed together, because they were always together. In the wake of a tragedy like this, it's hard to know what to think. The boys had limited ability to communicate, and like other individuals with autism, they struggle to learn new concepts. I'm not sure if they would have known to open a window or to lay down on the floor to avoid the smoke. Many of us see Autism Acceptance Month as a time of celebration, and it certainly is, but it's also a time of raising awareness, and that awareness drives our action, policy, and funding. It enables schools like mine to receive the resources that it needs to teach children life-saving skills like eating, communicating, and swimming. Every April, we still decorate our hallways at the Children's Center, but for me and many other professionals, it comes with a tinge of grief. My student's photo is my computer desktop background. I think about him and his brother every day when I get to work and every day when I leave. Their legacy drives me to help students with autism and disabilities in every way that I can. I know I'm standing in a room full of advocates who feel exactly the same way. You have fought for resources for my students and the wider New Jersey community, and I couldn't be more thankful. May we continue to collectively partner with individuals with autism and provide them with the opportunities and skills they need to not only live, but to thrive in our state. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Congratulations. That was fabulous. What a heartfelt story. We appreciate all your good work. Thank you. And now I'd like to continue with State Board Committee reports. Today, we'll start with the Administrative Policy Committee, which met on March 25th, 2025. Our board member, Elaine Bobrove, is the chair and is ready and prepared to provide our report. So please take over. Thank you.
The Administrative Policy Committee met, as you said, on March 25th, 2025. to discuss proposed amendments to education, certification, and preparation regulations in chapters 9, 9A, and 9B. The proposed amendments to align the chapters to recent changes in state law are on today's agenda for first discussion, so I will forego the remainder of my report.
All right, thank you. And there we'll continue with our instructional policy committee, which met on on March 28th, 2025. As Dr. Johnson is the chairperson but is not able to join us today, I will read the report from him. The Instructional Policy Committee met on March 28th, 2025 to discuss the newest changes that our Department of Education is proposing as part of the readoption
Bear with us for a few minutes, folks. We're going to wait for the president to come back on. Just thinking that was a shitty go.
No, this is mine.
Oh, it's yours.
It's,
The issue.
I know. I,
Was going so sweet. I went to Hong Kong for state.
Oh, wait a second. Stay right there. No, I'm okay. You're okay. Okay. Oh, yeah. Did you turn this off? No, you're okay. Kath, President Goldenberg, you're on my phone. You're in the public meeting. President Goldenberg. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay, you're in the public meeting. Yes, you're in the public meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
Excuse me, pursuant to the best opportunities for our board to continue, I would like to please ask that Mary Bennett take over running the meeting for me, if that's all right, and act as pro tem chair.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, so you're going to start here. Okay. Gotcha. Right. Thank you. I'm going to take you off of the iPhone.
Good morning. President Goldenberg was about to provide the summary statement from Vice President Ned Johnson, and I will attempt to pick up and carry forward. The Instructional Policy Committee met on March 28th, 2025, to discuss the newest changes that the department is proposing as part of the readoption of Chapter 8, Standards and Assessments. Most of the changes were proposed in response to comments received from stakeholders and the public. Since this item is on today's agenda at proposal level, and the department will be presenting the newly proposed amendments, I will refrain from providing a longer report. We'll turn it over to Commissioner Damer.
I'm going to start with commissioners' reports, and we will start with our lone item, the 2023-24 school performance reports. And that is today, we will be releasing a little bit later the school performance reports for the 2023-24 school year. The school performance reports reflect the New Jersey Department of Education's commitment to providing parents, students, and school communities with a wide variety of information about each school district. I encourage administrators, parents, teachers, and stakeholders to use these reports to learn more, start conversations, and engage. Kathy Ailing, Assistant Commissioner, and Jessica Merville, Director of Office of Performance Management, will present a summary of those reports right now.
Mine wasn't on. Flip towards you.
Okay. And apologies, my allergies decided to show up this morning, so we'll do my best. Thank you. Is it pro tem? Am I saying that correctly, Ms. Bennett? And members of the board, we are pleased to be here today to provide you with an overview of the 2023-2024 school performance reports and graduation data under Title I of the Elementary and Secondary Education Act. States are required to publish state and local report cards. Report cards must include information on the state overall and on each public school district and school in the state. New Jersey satisfies this requirement by publishing the school performance reports each spring. The performance reports are an important resource for parents and other stakeholders, as they can be used to understand a school's challenges and strengths. Information from the performance reports can be utilized to have targeted conversations about school performance and empower parents to be informed partners in their child's education. The department is pleased that this year's reports will include new data that is responsive to the requests of our families and stakeholders. The school performance reports provide a wide variety of data on each school and district, as well as the state, across 10 different categories. There are about 100 different data tables and visuals in the reports. We work with offices across the department and with our stakeholders to expand and improve our reporting each year. Over the last few years, we've been working to add more data by student group and also to add trend data where available. In addition to the reports themselves, we also provide a number of resources to help explain the data in the reports and give ideas on how to start conversations and engage with school communities. We have one-page guides available on our website for different audiences, including administrators, educators, parents, and school board members, with suggestions for the types of questions they may want to ask about or think about as they are reviewing the reports. Districts are provided a 2-week window to preview the reports prior to this public release. All of the reports, along with the resources, databases, and translated versions of the reports, will be available later this afternoon following this meeting. Since we can't cover every data point included in the reports in this presentation, we'd like to share a small subset of the data, including some high-level summaries of data that is either new, has changed over the last several years, or is aligned with state initiatives. I will now turn the presentation over to Ms. Jessica Merville, Director of the Office of Performance Management, who will share some highlights from the reports.
Good morning, everyone. I'm excited to share some of the data from the reports that we'll be releasing later today. We're going to start off with some data from our college and career readiness section. Do you want to turn yours? Thank you. The college and career readiness section of the reports includes information on the PSAT, SAT, and ACT, advanced coursework, course participation, and career and technical education. First, we're going to look at our advanced placement, or AP, and international baccalaureate, or IB, participation and performance. In the school performance reports, we report on participation in these types of courses, both overall and by student group. All of the data we're going to be talking about today is available for every school district and at the state level. We also report out on the percentage of students taking the corresponding AP and IB exams, and also students meeting benchmarks on those exams. We also report out for each school and district the individual AP and IB courses offered and the number of students taking the corresponding tests. You can see, for example, if you wanted to know which schools or districts offer certain AP courses, you can find that information in the reports. The first set of bars on this slide shows the percentage of 11th and 12th graders who are enrolled in one or more AP course or AP or IB course over the last 3 years. As you can see, we had a 1% increase in the participation in 2024. As noted, we do report this participation both overall and by student group. And while we have seen these increases overall, there are still gaps in participation when you look at data by student group, with, for example, only 9.8% of our multilingual learners participating in AP courses. When we look at the percentage of 11th and 12th graders who took AP or IB exams, which is the middle set of bars on this chart, our rates have continued to increase over the last few years, with now over 30% of our 11th and 12th graders taking an exam. In terms of performance, the last set of bars on this chart, we report on the percentage of all 11th and 12th graders, not just the percentage of testers who have met a benchmark on these assessments, which is a score of 3 or higher on an AP exam or a score of 4 or higher on an IB exam. These numbers have also continued to increase over the last few years. If you were to look at just the percentage of testers who met benchmarks in New Jersey, 74.8% of our testers met at least one benchmark on an assessment in 2024. We'd also like to take this opportunity to highlight the 2024 AP results that were released by College Board in February. New Jersey continues to rank second in the country for the percentage of public high schools offering at least one AP course, with over 95% of public high schools offering at least one course. New Jersey has the highest percentage of public high schools offering 5 or more AP courses, with 86.9% of schools offering 5 or more courses. New Jersey had the second highest growth rates, looking at 10-year changes in both the percentage of graduates taking an AP exam with a 10% increase and graduates scoring a 3 or higher on an AP exam with a 7.2% increase. New Jersey also had the second highest percentage of students scoring a 3 or higher on an AP exam during high school. And finally, 189 New Jersey schools, public and private, were recognized on the AP School Honor Roll for 2024. In order to be recognized, schools must have 40% or more graduates taking at least one AP exam, 25% of graduates scoring a 3 or higher on an exam, and 2% or more taking 5 or more exams starting in grade 9 or 10. We also report on participation in dual enrollment courses in the school performance reports, both overall and by student group. Dual enrollment courses give students the opportunity to simultaneously earn high school and college credits. Participation in dual enrollment courses for 11th and 12th graders increased to 26.9% in 23-24, which is about 7,600 more students in 2024. Like AP and IB courses, we do continue to see gaps in participation across student groups. For example, only 20.2% of economically disadvantaged students participated in 2024. The school performance reports also include participation and performance on the SAT, PSAT, and ACT assessments. While most students in New Jersey take the PSAT or SAT while in high school, fewer than 10% of students take the ACT. So for today's presentation, I'm focusing on PSAT and SAT information. However, our reports do also include information on ACT. Participation rates for both PSAT and SAT have increased over the last 2 years. They still remain below where we were at in 2018-19, but these trends in New Jersey do still align with what we're seeing across the nation. As we reported in prior years, there have been colleges and universities that have stopped requiring these tests, but some have added them back in the last few years. So there's a lot of factors that factor into the students taking those tests. This slide shows the performance on the PSAT and SAT assessments for math and reading and writing. Both PSAT and SAT average scores have decreased over the last several years. This may be tied to the increase in participation as we see more students taking the tests over the last few years. Additionally, there's been some growth in the number of students who take the SAT on a school day compared to the weekend, which may mean that a broader range of students have the opportunity to take the tests. Again, these trends in New Jersey do align with trends seen nationally, with increases in participation and slight decreases in performance. The New Jersey Seal of Biliteracy recognizes graduating students who have demonstrated proficiency in at least one language in addition to English. Students must take a world language assessment to demonstrate their proficiency in world languages. The school performance reports include the number of SEALs earned by language for each school and district, and the percentage of 12th graders who earn SEALs. We've also expanded our reporting for 2024 to include the number and percentage of current and former multilingual learners who earn SEALs. The number of graduates earning SEALs has increased each year for the last 3 years. In 23-24, over 10,000 graduates earned a SEAL, which is 9.6% of all 12th graders. The number of SEALs earned in 23-24 is nearly double the number that were earned in 2018-19. And in 23-24, about 24% of our 12th grade current and former multilingual learners earned a SEAL. To increase participation, the department has consistently messaged to districts to consider all the ways in which students may be learning languages, conducted outreach to districts to increase participation, and improve technical support for the process. For example, the department published a Seal of Biliteracy video series last year, which provides quick, readily available videos on frequently asked questions, and also released promotional materials for families, students, and districts around the Seal of Biliteracy. In a 22-23 survey conducted by Rutgers, one of the most frequently frequent recommendations for districts was to increase the information they could provide for students and families about the seal. And we believe this increased support and resources have helped in adding 19 more eligible districts and 20 more high schools participating in 23-24. Districts submitted their 2025 numbers last month, and preliminary numbers suggest that the numbers will continue to increase in 2025. Slightly delayed, sorry. The school performance reports include a whole section on career and technical education, or CTE, programs across the state. This includes data on participation in programs both overall and by student group, participation in work-based learning, and industry-valued credentials earned by students. Per the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, recognized post-secondary credentials consist of an industry-recognized certificate or certification, a certificate of completion or an apprenticeship, a license recognized by the state involved or federal government, or an associate or baccalaureate degree. The department reports on the number of students earning credentials each year, which includes certificates, certifications, or licenses. This chart shows the number of students who earned one or more industry valued credential for the last 3 years. We've seen the number of students earning credentials increase in each of the last 4 years. In 23-24, over 9,600 students earned an industry valued credential, which is more than 3 times the number of students who earned a credential in 2019-20. These increases may be due in part to a Perkins 5 state plan requirement from spring 2020 that all CTE programs must end in an industry value credential, college credit, or apprenticeship. Additionally, in partnership with the New Jersey Department of Labor and the Credential Review Board, the department has expanded the number of credential options available, contributing to these increases. The department now recognizes 129 industry value credentials across 13 career clusters. We'll now move into some data from the climate and environment section of our reports, particularly attendance and discipline data. Chronic absenteeism is defined as being absent for 10% or more of the days enrolled during the school year. The department includes chronic absenteeism as our school quality indicator in our Every Student Succeeds Act, or ESSA, accountability system. In the school performance reports, we report on chronic absenteeism rates by student group and grade level. And we've expanded our reporting for 23-24 to include 3-year trends for each school and district. This slide shows the statewide chronic absenteeism rates for New Jersey for the last 3 years. We've included 2018-19 for reference. We've also included national rates from Future Ed. The 23-24 rate is estimated based on data reported by states so far. As you can see, our rates have decreased over the last 2 years, down to 14.9% for 23-24. But the rates are still higher than they were in 2018-19, when 10.6% of students were chronically absent. Each school with a chronic absenteeism rate of 10% or higher is required to develop a corrective action plan to improve chronic absenteeism rates. In 23-24, over 60% of schools had a chronic absenteeism rate of 10% or higher, compared to only 32% in 2018-19. Part of this corrective action plan is identifying problems and barriers to school attendance and developing recommendations to address them. We see the highest rates of chronic absenteeism among students experiencing homelessness, students in foster care, economically disadvantaged students, and students with disabilities. Most student groups did show increases, however, in 23-24 compared to the prior year. The trends in New Jersey seem to follow national trends based on data reported so far. Future Ed, again, has estimated that the national chronic absenteeism rate is approximately 23% for 23-24. Most states have followed the same trend as New Jersey, with increases in 21-22 and decreases over the last 2 years. And based on states that have reported data so far, New Jersey has one of the lowest rates in the nation. We've also improved our reporting on the breakdown of the percentage of days that students were absent during the year, and how we, to align with how we calculate chronic absenteeism. This slide shows a new table that we'll be including in all of our school and district reports that shows the percentage of days that students were absent during the 23-24 school year. We can see that most students miss 0 to 7 days of school during the year, which for a typical 180 school year would be 13 days for the year, which would be fewer than 13 days for the year. The 3 yellow bars to the right of the chart represent students who were chronically absent and missed 10% or more of days during the year. We can see that less than 3% of the students missed 20% or more days, and about 47% of the students who were chronically absent in 23-24 were absent between 10 to 13% of days, which is about 18 to 23 days for a typical 180-day school year. This new chart can help understand where students are and where they are just over 10% or just under 10%, or have very high percentages of days absent. So it gives a more detailed picture of what's going on in each school and district. These numbers help us understand the impact of chronic absenteeism on our academics and learning. When students are in school, there's a direct and positive impact on academics and the programs districts are offering. In addition to expanding our reporting, the department has been focused on promoting regular school attendance and addressing chronic absenteeism in various ways. During the past school year, the department launched an attendance awareness campaign, both through a social media campaign, as well as by providing district and schools with resources to run local campaigns. As part of this work, we were able to work with the county offices to present corrective action plan requirements to all 21 counties during superintendent roundtables. Lastly, we have launched a Conditions for Learning webpage, which you can see on this slide. It is meant to be the hub for chronic absenteeism and the promotion of regular school attendance. This webpage offers a collection of current resources designed to assist schools and districts in addressing chronic absenteeism and promoting regular school attendance. Moving forward, we will be looking to highlight schools that are experiencing improved rates of chronic absenteeism, and technical assistance will also be offered at our Winter Learning Institute. Some of the guidance we have recently released includes our guidance for reporting attendance and calculating chronic absenteeism rates, guidance for database decision-making that incorporates New Jersey's specific rules, regulations, and various resources, including a template and sample corrective action plan, and our engaging families and supporting school attendance guidance, because through our engagement with districts, we've learned that developing a quality instrument to identify the root causes of chronic absenteeism is a challenge. The guidance provides sample items that schools can use to develop their own survey instruments for families and guardians, and we've had these items translated into our top 10 languages. We know that parents and guardians are a key lever we need to pull to get kids into school regularly. In the reports, we include data on the number of violence, vandalism, harassment, intimidation, and bullying, or HIB, and substance offenses, as well as disciplinary removals. In 22-23, the department was required to start reporting out on disciplinary removals, police notifications, and student arrests by student group and grade level. Last year, the first year that we released this data, it was reported in a separate database, but this year we've included that data directly in the school performance reports. On this slide, we show the total number of violence, vandalism, HIB, and substance offenses for the last 3 years, as well as the number of students with suspensions, both overall and by in-school and out-of-school suspensions. The number of students who received any type of suspension decreased in There was a slight decrease in the number of incidents in 23-24, and the number of students who received any type of suspension decreased in 23-24 as well. Within in-school and out-of-school suspensions, we did see a shift with an increase in in-school and a decrease in out-of-school suspensions. So numbers are moving in the right direction. The department and district focus on student mental health may be helping to drive these decreases, so it's essential that we continue to support districts in this work to ensure all students are safe and supported in their schools. I will now hand the presentation back over to Ms. Saling.
Thanks. Thank you. Okay, over the next few slides, I'm going to present information on the difference between the state and federal graduation rates, and also share the 2024 data for both calculations. In order to meet state graduation requirements and receive a state-endorsed diploma, a student must first meet all state course requirements, local attendance requirements, and the state graduation assessment requirements. Graduates in the class of 2024 were required to meet the graduation assessment requirements in both English language arts and mathematics through one of 3 pathways. The first pathway is to demonstrate proficiency on the New Jersey Graduation Proficiency Assessment, or the NJGPA. The second is to meet the designated cut score on one of the assessments on the menu of substitute competency tests, which includes the SAT, PSAT, and ACT. Or the third pathway is to demonstrate proficiency through a student portfolio appeal. It's important to note that to address the needs of a small percentage of students with disabilities who have more complex needs, New Jersey regulations provide flexibility for individualized education program or IEP teams to determine which graduation requirements a student with a disability will meet to receive a state-endorsed diploma. State regulations provide that these students still receive a state-endorsed diploma and are included as graduates in the state graduation rate. The department was monitored for its compliance with the Every Student Succeeds Act by the U.S. Department of Education in 2019. As a result of that monitoring, USED issued a corrective action plan to the state, which required New Jersey to change the way it calculates the federal graduation rate. The federal graduation rate is the rate that is reported to the U.S. Department of Education and is used for federal accountability purposes. It is a measure of all students in a particular cohort who have graduated and met all state graduation requirements, that's the numerator, compared to the total number of eligible students in the cohort, that's the denominator. As a result of the monitoring, the department was required, beginning in 2021, to exclude students with disabilities who did not meet all the graduation requirements because of a modification or exemption in their IEPs from the numerator for the federal calculation. To be clear, these changes are only being made for purposes of ESSA implementation and other federal requirements. As a reminder, the federal graduation rate, that's the one that does not include students with disabilities who do not meet either course, attendance, or graduation assessment requirements due to that modification in their IEP. This means that the federal rate will always be either equal or lower than the state rate. There were no graduation assessment requirements in place for the class of 2023 due to a law in 2022 that required the NJGPA to be administered as a field assessment in the spring of 2022, excuse me. Students in the class of 2022 and 2024 were required to meet graduation assessment requirements. Because of the difference in graduation requirements across the classes, the cohort 2023 federal rate is not directly comparable to 2022 and 2024. For comparison purposes, it makes more sense to compare cohort 2022 and cohort 2024. And doing that, there is an increase in the federal rate for cohort 2024 as compared to 2022. This slide shows the statewide 4-year and 5-year graduation rates. The 4-year rate for cohort 2025 is 91.3, which is the highest 4-year graduation rate New Jersey has had since implementing the adjusted cohort graduation rate calculation in 2011. The 5-year rate is 92.6, which remains consistent with 5-year rates for the last several years. This is a reflection of the hard work of our students and our school communities. These rates have remained relatively stable over the last 5 years, and they do include those students with IEPs who received a state-endorsed diploma, but may have had a modification or exemption to the course, attendance, or graduation requirements, as is allowed in our state regulations. The school performance reports now show graduation rates by race, ethnicity, gender, and additional student groups. Today, I would like to close out our presentation by highlighting student groups with significant increases in their 4-year graduation rates. The 4-year graduation rates for both economically disadvantaged students and multilingual learners have increased over both of the last 2 years. The cohort 2024 rates represent the highest 4-year rates since 2011 for both of these student groups. Thank you, and Jessica and I are happy to answer any questions that you may have about the reports.
Board members, any questions before I turn this back over to President Goldenberg, who's rejoining us because the technical difficulties have been corrected? President Goldenberg, it's yours.
Thank you very much, Board Member Bennett. I appreciate you taking the helm. I see that Arcelio Aponte has his hand up, and sir, like to have you please ask your questions and comments.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you very much, Commissioner and team, for this presentation and these updates. At some point, could we get a further breakdown of the student groups? Certainly, I'm interested in knowing a little bit more about the graduation rates and the other categories that you covered here, more specifically around the other demographic groups, Latino kids, Black kids, so on and so forth. I'd just like to see that data at some point. So if you can provide that to the state board, that'd be fantastic.
Yes, we can provide that. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and we'll work on getting kind of the range of the breakdown that we from all of the student groups that we have and share that back with the board. Thank you. Thank you for the question. And by the way, just a reminder for everybody, this will be coming out later today. And this is, folks, for those in the room and those out in public, you can look up by district and get detailed information for each district. And we encourage you to take a look, see what's going on in your community, and really dig in.
Great. One final question. In the industry valued credentials that you spoke of earlier, it'd also be interesting to see how many of our students received a industry credential around the STEM fields versus the traditional trades. So, for example, if there was software credentials, healthcare credentials, just get
we have it broken down by, we do have it broken down by career cluster. We don't have it each individual credential, but it's by I believe 13 career clusters, the number of students earning credentials.
And you can share that with us, right?
Of course. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Kevin, if I could, and on that point, I think this really ties in beautifully with Anna's report today. I was like, wow. Regarding the industry valued credentials, there's 129 industry valued credentials, you said.
I believe that's the total offered, yes.
Is that evolving? Are we looking to continue to add to this? I'm glad to see the numbers, going up and more kids availing themselves of this. But I would love to see Anna do this same report next year and us have, really start to really see that kids are walking out of school and saying, I really got something, I'm set, I'm ready. So I think it's great. This was a wonderful report. I'm glad to see things moving up, but there's still much more room to go. So I'm interested in seeing that breakdown as well. Careers.
Just on that note, I believe the number is increasing. This is a close collaboration with the New Jersey Department of Labor and Workforce Development. And so I think that this has been an opportunity for us to kind of expand and focus in on kind of where the industry is in New Jersey so that the students coming out of our high schools are prepared going into the workforce right out of high school.
And the dual enrollment piece is, I'm glad to see that that's rising and those opportunities are available for our students. So thank you. Great report.
Just going to be stating the obvious. It looks like the trajectory is in the right direction overall with the report, which is nice to see. Thank you.
Are the teacher certifications, I might have missed that little bit, but is that helping to have more students avail themselves of these programs?
For the dual enrollment programs or for the CTE program?
Probably both, but I was thinking more so about the CTE at that moment, but thank you.
I can follow up with our career readiness office, but I know they've been working on the different certifications available for teachers.
Yeah, I think that's, Madam President, I think that's something that we'll have to dig into, see the corollary between the two. But it's an interesting question. I don't know that that's come up directly, but I think it's really important. And kind of as you point out, like some of, particularly in our CTE instructor set, finding folks that are ready to teach kind of right away is something that has long been an issue. And So finding, mapping that against what our high school students are doing coming out, I think is really, really interesting question.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll look forward to hearing more if we can gather that. Okay, any other questions? If not, I'm sorry, did we take a motion already?
This is just a presentation from in the commissioner section, so no vote necessary. And mostly this is just to make you aware and let you know this is coming out later today.
All right, thank you so much.
And with that, I would like to move into the items for consideration. The first of which is a standing item for appointments. And today there are no appointments to move forward. So I'll move to the next agenda item, another standing item, which is certification of school districts. And likewise, we don't have any school districts for certification this month. So we can move right into agenda item C, standards and assessment at the proposal level. Today, I'm presenting a proposal level, the readoption with amendments to the rules in Chapter 8, which is standards and assessment. This chapter is essential to teaching and learning in New Jersey, ensuring alignment between local curriculum, instruction, and the New Jersey student learning standards and the state assessment system. As we approach the chapter's scheduled expiration next month, we had an opportunity to hear from stakeholders about this proposal, and I think we've taken each of those comments to heart and really tried to build that in. And I think that's the crux of what you're going to hear today, is how we took those comments and built that into the proposal that you heard previously. So with that, I want to turn it over to Lisa Haberl and Chris Huber, who will present kind of what those comments were and how they're reflected back in the revised proposal today.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. Good morning, President Goldenberg and members of the State Board of Education. We are pleased to join you this morning to discuss our proposed revisions to New Jersey Administrative Code, Chapter 6A8 at proposal level. As you may recall from our previous discussions, the chapter, which implements the New Jersey Student Learning Standards and the statewide assessment system, is scheduled to expire on May 3rd, 2025. We would like to begin by briefly revisiting the overarching goals of the proposed revisions. Then we will share the themes that emerged from the public comment we received, then transition into a discussion of the responsive revisions we made to the chapter as a result. We would be pleased to take any questions you may have at the end of the presentation. In February, we first shared with you the proposed amendments to streamline and clarify rules, procedures, and operations, and update terminology and rules to align to federal and state laws. The proposal focuses on enhancing the alignment of instruction to student needs, ensuring instructional programs are designed and delivered to serve all students and meet their unique needs. There is also a proposed emphasis on increasing access to advanced coursework and underscoring the development of civic responsibility and information literacy. A renewed focus is the preparation of students for the modern workplace and, more broadly, post-secondary and career success. The proposed revisions strengthen career readiness through a focus on career counseling, work-based learning, and dual enrollment programs. The proposed amendments also provide clarity around authentic learning experiences and individual student learning opportunities. Continuous improvement is also a goal of this proposed package. This includes an introduction of accountability measures like corrective action plans for noncompliance with the New Jersey Student Learning Standards, professional development requirements, and the regular use of disaggregated data to monitor and improve student outcomes. The public comment period began in February, and the comments received to date have generally focused on a few key themes. The first is the clarification of definitions. Several commenters requested clearer definitions for existing terms. The second is specificity of curriculum elements. Commenters sought clarity to determine the scope and extent of what resources and materials are included in curriculum. And lastly, clarification of newly proposed regulations. Commenters proposed clarifying language and identified possible redundancies. But before we move into the specific revisions, we would like to take a moment to clarify how the revisions are formatted in our proposal package. New language proposed at proposal level this month is bolded and highlighted in yellow. These are changes largely resulting from feedback received during the past few months of public comment. Existing language that is proposed to be deleted for the first time here today at proposal level is double bracketed, again, mostly as responsive edits to the public comment we received. And lastly, new language proposed at first discussion in February, but is now proposed to be deleted at proposal level this month, is bold and double bracketed. We will begin with revisions to the definitions. The highlighted changes again in bold and yellow indicate the following revisions to the definitions you've reviewed at first and second discussion levels. The first is interdisciplinary connections. This definition now specifies that these connections occur at the appropriate grade level, emphasizing that integration should be developmentally appropriate. NJ CUSAC. The definition now includes monitor alongside review and evaluate, indicating CUSAC's intentional design for the ongoing oversight of school districts. Pacing guide. A reference to the New Jersey Student Learning Standards was included to ensure explicit alignment of a pacing guide with our student learning standards. A clarifying sentence was also added. A pacing guide does not include lesson plans, which ensures a clear distinction between the school district's curriculum pacing guide and teacher-developed lesson plans. A curriculum pacing guide outlines what should be taught and when, helping educators plan and remain on track throughout the academic year to ensure students receive grade-level content as required. You will note the distinction of a pacing guide, not including lesson plans, again on the next slide when we discuss curricular materials to be made publicly available by school districts. The highlighted and bracketed changes indicate the following updates to the citations. 3.1A3 specifies that school district boards of education must make approved curriculum pacing guides and the related citations for core instructional materials publicly available, reinforcing that only resources approved by the local school board must be shared. The proposed revision also clarifies the components of curriculum that must be made publicly available. Lesson plans and assessments, for example, are not required components. The concern that lesson plans and assessments would be required through this new proposal was elevated by several commenters. And in this revision, in concert with the definition of pacing guide that we explored a moment ago, seeks to clarify the intent. 3.4D3 adds students not at grade level proficiency to the list of student groups requiring integrated accommodations and modifications, ensuring additional support for students who are behind academically but have not been identified in any other student group previously included. This revision acknowledges the nuances of our multi-tiered system of support framework and helps schools provide targeted support to all students based on their individual needs. 3.5E removes the explicit reference to unit and/or lesson plans in the corrective action plan requirements, avoiding redundancy and clarifying the sequence of events related to implementing a corrective action plan. Unit and lesson plans, widely understood to be components of curriculum, will be modified as a result of the approved curricular, policy, and/or programmatic changes appearing in the CAP, not concurrently. School districts will need time and support to design the units and lessons in response to the changes approved within the CAP. They would not occur at the same time as suggested within our initial proposal. A phrase has been changed to post-secondary and career success at 1.1b, as well as the proposed heading of subchapter 6, preparation for post-secondary and career success. This revision was requested to ensure the term post-secondary did not unintentionally exclude workforce and career development, as the term may connote a limitation to pursuit of higher education rather than workforce preparation. That was certainly not the intent behind our proposal to introduce the term, so we deemed the revision necessary for clarification. Another revision appears at 2.1B21. This was a new provision that was introduced to clarify a process regarding the integration of new curriculum-related laws. The department received requests for clarification, as well as the voiced perception that the amendment is unnecessary. As a result of the comments, the new proposal has been rescinded entirely. The department and the State Board of Education are the entities responsible for setting and approving the New Jersey Student Learning Standards, which lead to the development of local curriculum. As the department is required to implement statutory curriculum mandates, the commissioner, in conjunction with the State Board of Education, already hold this power. Therefore, we submit that this language is not necessary. The removal of this new proposal will simply maintain the status quo. A clarifying proposal appears at 5.1A211A, which outlines the provision of the rules commonly referred to as Option 2. Individualized student learning opportunities, Option 2's more formal name in rule text, provides an alternate pathway for students to meet high school graduation requirements. It allows districts to innovate and meet unique students' needs by offering personalized learning experiences outside of traditional coursework. In the initial proposal, we offered language that was well supported by the comments received. However, commenters sought clarification as some interpretations differed. The proposed phrasing, be designed, approved, and delivered or supervised by appropriately certified educators, was unclear to commenters due to the use of the coordinating conjunction or. In response to the comments, the department responded by describing the 3 distinct scenarios that were intended in the initial proposal and the specific conditions of the role of appropriately qualified educators in each to provide increased clarity. For example, New Jersey Administrative Code Chapter 19 requires work-based learning experiences to be supervised by work-based learning coordinators. These are educators who have been trained in child labor laws, ensuring student safety in work settings, and other critical issues related to work-based learning experiences. While some content area teachers may have this training, most work-based school programs feature partnerships between content area teachers and work-based learning coordinators. This revision highlights the unique models found in CTE and supports student attainment of credits in these very unique settings. Lastly, dual enrollment opportunities allow students to matriculate in college courses while in high school. In many cases, college professors, who often hold great expertise in their respective fields, are not New Jersey certified K-12 educators. This provision allows dual enrollment experiences with syllabi and course materials that are reviewed for NJSLS alignment by appropriately certified educators to count as high school credits for students. We anticipate these revisions will add the additional clarity and encourage expansion of these types of innovative programs for students. There are 2 areas where commenters requested that we add additional clarifying language when referencing state statutes related to student protections. You may be familiar with the opt-out provision in state law, which allows parents or guardians to opt their child out of health, family life, or sex education by submitting a signed statement to the school principal citing moral or religious beliefs. The student will be excused from that part of the course without penalty. One commenter noted that the rule text in section 3.4e did not include one phrase that appears within the statute, the phrasing that clarified that no penalties related to credit or graduation will result from a student being opted out of that portion of the course. The revision is highlighted and bolded here. In addition, one commenter requested that the department include the citation for the statute that requires criminal background checks for individuals who will be working with New Jersey students to ensure the safety of both the students and the staff. That revision is also bolded and highlighted here. Several commenters highlighted and supported the development of information literacy standards and the accompanying regulations that direct their implementation. The newly proposed placement of New Jersey School Library Media Specialists at 61D12 elevates their leadership as experts in the content. We would like to share one final agency-initiated change, which appears in the portion of the subchapter that addresses individual student learning opportunities. As mentioned before, this provision is commonly referred to as Option 2, which allows innovation to emerge in providing alternate experiences for students in meeting graduation requirements. The specific subsection featured on this slide addresses group programs, which open these unique learning experiences to groups of students rather than just one individual. In an effort to encourage its use, the department crafted 2 potential examples of common group programs that highlighted only career and technical education and English as a second language programs, which are both governed in separate administrative code chapters, 19 and 15 respectively. After internal discussion, it was determined that the proposed language may unintentionally limit the types of group programs developed by school districts by suggesting that this rule text is limited only to CTE and ESL bilingual programs. To rectify these concerns and to ensure consistency across our administrative code chapters, the department proposes to remove the 2 examples of group programs from the proposal. The department intends, after the regulations are adopted and take effect, to release guidance to support school districts in implementing group programs, including but certainly not limited to CTE and ESL settings. Thank you for your time and attention, and we're here to answer any questions you may have about the chapter or the proposals.
Mary Beth has a question, Madam President.
Thank you, sir. Mary Beth, if you'd go ahead, please. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you, President Goldenberg. Thank you for that report. I had asked a question, and I think you're getting back regarding the number of schools that avail themselves of the option 2. So I don't know, did you have any data yet back on that, or we just asked that at a meeting earlier? So I don't know whether you have.
We've been discussing it since the question came up. We don't have a direct data point, so we're looking to see if there's anything we can kind of triangulate to get at it, but we don't collect that as a specific data point. So but it is certainly something for future consideration where we
so I'll
clearly
look forward to that being shared.
Yeah.
I think, again, I go back to Anna's report today, how important it was. So timely. As I had read her report, I was like, I knew these were the things we're going to be discussing. Option 2 is an amazing data
Jason.
that you're so good at. The number of staff members that are work-based learning certified. Does every school have a work-based learning coordinator? I would hope certainly that's really important if you're trying to get people out into the community or working with businesses. So I'm wondering, is that something that we can safely say that every school does have a work-based learning coordinator? And what are the statistics? Do we have, a wealth of people getting trained to be bringing business and industry into our schools and making it real in the classroom? So
the department is proud to have a wonderful partnership with Rutgers University. We work very closely with Derek Schendel and his team, who provide professional learning and provide the certification for work-based learning programs. So we can certainly circle back with our colleagues at Rutgers to get that data.
That's I have the work-based.
It's
learning.
great, isn't it?
I'm
It's a great
certified,
program.
so, and I think it's amazing. And because of having gone through that training, it makes you think about things a little bit differently and opens your mind up to the great things we're doing in our classes academically, making them make sense. And then Anna does a presentation where students are saying, you know what, we're really feeling ready because we're taking all those great things we're doing in the classroom and we're amping it up a little bit. So
it's true, really.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there other questions or comments at this time? Hearing none, I'd like to please ask for a motion to accept the standards and assessments as presented.
So moved.
Motion?
Thank you, Dr. Butcher. And I'm sorry, who is the second? Is there a second?
Jeanette seconded.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Board Member Pena. I appreciate it. Is there any further discussion or questions at this time? Having no other questions, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any abstentions? Are there any nays at this time? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Tremendous presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we'll move on to item D, student transportation, for second discussion. Today at second discussion, I'm presenting proposed amendments for new rules of Chapter 27, student transportation, This chapter establishes provisions for ensuring the safe transportation of students to and from school and school-related activities. The proposed amendments clarify existing laws and new rules to implement recent laws. Dave Corso and Alan Dupree are here to share a presentation on what we've learned since last month.
Thank you, Commissioner. Morning, board members. Today, I'm going to summarize the Chapter 27 amendments. There's three. The first amendment is at Section 2.1, which clarifies the calculation of aid and lieu payments for non-public school student transportation pursuant to NJSA 18A:39-1. The second amendment is proposed new rules at Section 7.6, which effectuates the Public Law 2024, Chapter 81. That allows school districts to designate school personnel to drive students to and from school in private or district-owned vehicles while exempting them from the certifications and the standards that apply to school buses and drivers. And the third amendment is subchapter 14, which establishes the procedures needed to implement the non-public school consortium transportation program established by Public Law 2023, Chapter 326. At the last presentation, oh yeah, that's right, sorry. No changes were being proposed from first discussion and no comments have been received as of this date. So I can take any questions you may have about the items that were presented previously and today.
Any questions at this time or comments from our board members?
Jeanette?
Not a question, but again, I just want to reiterate how transformative I think this will be. It's scary out there. There's no bus drivers. We finally got buses, but we don't have bus drivers. So this is going to be very helpful to districts, in my opinion. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Very good. Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Okay, hearing none, I believe we can go to the next agenda item. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Moving to agenda item E, professional standards. Today I'm presenting at first discussion amendments and new rules to Chapter 9, professional standards, Chapter 9A, New Jersey Educator Preparation Programs, and Chapter 9B, State Board of Examiners and Certification. The proposed amendments and new rules align with the three chapters that were recently readopted. And so I'll steal a little bit of thunder from my colleagues here. This is really in the last year or so, we've had several new laws come in to play in this area, really focusing in on addressing teacher shortage and certification to kind of ease pinch points in that process. So there's and we'll go through all the different statutes that have come through, and you'll see it's a rather lengthy list. So joining us for the presentation, Ambrose Duckett, Assistant Commissioner, and Paul Bloom, Executive Director, and they'll walk us through in more detail.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good morning. I think it's still morning. President Goldenberg and board members, we appreciate your attention today. Just as a recap, in May of 2023, the State Board readopted NJAC 6A, 9, 9A, and 9B. Since the readoption, there have been several laws enacted impacting educator preparation programs, commonly referred to as EPPs, and educator certification rules that were not within the time frame of the previous rulemaking. To assist the field in implementing the laws, the department is proposing amended and new regulations related only to these specific laws, which are now in statute. These chapters govern professional standards, New Jersey educational preparation programs, and the State Board of Examiners and certification. The next two slides summarize the statutes that are being addressed in the proposed regulations. We will not go through each one of these slides, as the presentation will go into more detail on the actual statute and the proposed changes within these chapters. As you can see, there are 8 statutes that require amendments or new rules within our regulations. And for the remainder of the presentation, Executive Director Paula Bloom will be walking through the proposed amendments and new rules aligned only to new or updated statutory requirements. Paula? Yep.
Oh, there I am. Okay. NJAC 6A9, which contains the definitions of the chapters and the professional standards for teachers and leaders, school leaders. NJAC 9A contains everything regarding approval of educator preparation programs and the requirements for entry, exit, and completion of an educator preparation program. The chapter NJAC 6A9B contains the certification requirements and the powers and duties of the State Board of Education. The department is proposing 3 new definitions because of the new statutes. Performance-based assessments has been added because of the elimination of the requirement of a candidate to take and pass a commissioner-approved performance-based assessment. The new law requires educator preparation programs to establish their own performance-based assessment, necessitating this definition. The second definition that we are proposing is for culturally responsive teaching. Because of the new statute that requires all teaching certification candidates attending an educator preparation program to complete a course on training on culturally responsive teaching. Lastly, the department is proposing a definition for professional education coursework to align with the statute that permits EPPs, educator preparation programs, to accept any number of credit hours from other institutions. You may recall at the previous state board meeting, we spent some time on the new law that eliminated the Praxis Core and the impact it had on the limited CE and CEAS certificates. The department is proposing to eliminate Praxis Core requirements throughout these chapters. As the slide states, the law requires anyone seeking a limited CE to take and pass the Praxis Core. This does not impact candidates seeking a limited CEAS because Praxis Core is not one of the available flexibilities. As this slide states, the board can no longer require anyone obtaining a certificate to take a commissioner-approved performance-based assessment, commonly known as EdTPA. However, the performance-based assessment is not removed from the certification process entirely, but rather the educator preparation programs must create their own. The department proposes to add a requirement for educator preparation programs which have a teacher of students with disabilities to include coursework on the autism disorder. There are 2 additional statutes, one that requires an educator preparation program to include 6 credits towards special education in all the initial instructional certificate programs, and another requires all teaching certification candidates to complete a course or training on culturally responsive teaching. Both statutes were required in the list of laws in the beginning of this presentation. We will be proposing to amend the requirements for EPP programs to include the 6 credits towards special education, as well as incorporating course or training on culturally responsive teaching. This law on the slide here was developed to ease some of the burden of obtaining a CEAS or Certificate of Eligibility with Advanced Standing for individuals employed as a paraprofessional in school districts. The individuals who enroll in an educator preparation program offering this pathway will no longer have to complete a clinical practice separate from their current employment. This makes it easier for the paraprofessional to obtain a certificate and is a cost savings because many individuals who complete a CEAS program must take a leave from their job to complete the clinical placements. And here I'm showing our actual new proposed language within the regulations. And they align specifically to the statute. The department is proposing to delete the limit on the number of credit hours from an accredited county college that an educator preparation program may accept toward meeting requirements for teacher certification. Currently, this is capped at 100 of the 350 credit hours in a CE program. Here, we are aligning the statute to allow an extension of 20 days of a person holding a substitute credential if the school district can demonstrate they cannot fill the vacancy. And again, I'm showing on the slide the language that we will be using for this amendment. And lastly, the department is proposing this amendment for clarity. The clarification is in alignment with the statute that the computer science certificate is required to teach in upper level grades, whether full-time or part-time, but an educator in a K-6 certificate can continue to teach computer science part-time. Ambrose and I are here to answer any questions you may have.
Are there any questions? Thank you. Board Member Pena, please.
Thank you. So my question is, and maybe you stated it in your presentation, but it wasn't clear to me. So I just want to make sure. So if somebody does obtain a limited CE, they take their core praxis and they are teaching, I don't know, chemistry, let's say. They have a master's in chemistry. Do they still need to go back and complete any educator preparation coursework aside from the 50 hours that are required prior to their employment? Only because I get this question all the time. People are saying, do I still need to do this? I have a PhD in robotics. Do I still need to go back? So
yes, so the limited CE certificate candidate would apply for the limited certificate. They would now have to pass the Praxis core, and they're able to waive one of the requirements, but the requirements still require them to go to an educator preparation program.
Okay, beyond the 50-hour one.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Are there other questions at this time?
You know, President Goldenberg, I did have a question just about the substitute provision. I know we talked about it some, but we want to put the best teachers in front of our students. So right now, a person comes in and they sub. School districts, I'm sure, are making sure that they have good people in there. After 40 days, that sub is not able to continue in that classroom.
Correct.
Is that correct? That's correct. Okay. Now, if they're off a week or two and they haven't found somebody, can that sub return to that classroom? I wasn't clear on that.
No, but do districts put that person back into the classroom? We found instances where they have. There should be a new substitute. It should be limited to the 40 days. It's 20 days initially, and then they have to ask for an extension for 40 days.
With some of those, a foreign language teacher that they're difficult. A physics teacher, I certainly understand you want to put, the best person in there. So I was just wondering, is it that they need to take that pause and potentially, you want school districts to find the right person.
That's
Hopefully
correct.
we're getting more people in the pipeline to want to be teachers, and we're making that better for them. But I just really, the substitute piece, not necessarily them being evaluated.
Right.
is a piece that you want, 20 days, 40 days is a lot of time in a classroom.
It is, and there's often conversations should be between the county and the school district and making sure that they work together to get a certified person in that position. So.
Just a key part of that, whether it's the first 20 days or if they're seeking the extension for the second 20 to get to the total of 40, it's about demonstrating that you're continuing to seek to fill that. And that's a really important thing, as Ambrose mentioned, coordinating with the county. And in that instance, the county can work within other areas in the county where they might find a candidate or to help them in any way, but just really to make sure that they continue that press at the district level to fill that vacancy.
And speaking of foreign, I'm sorry, Board Member. What we've encouraged is shared services. So what you'll see is if there is an extended period of time to maybe bring the kids in the classroom with a paraprofessional and then have a teacher from a remote site teach those group of students together because they're not able to get somebody on site in the school district. So there's creative ways to have a certified professional teach students from one school district, maybe located in another school district.
Thank you.
Any
So
other
just
questions?
going-
Jeanette, please.
Thank you. So just going back to my previous question. So I was just thinking, we know how difficult it is to get teachers. Going back to that example of having someone who maybe has a doctorate in the STEM area, which is what I'm finding. I think people are making that decision between working in the private sector and they're saying, you know what, maybe summers off might be nice, even though we know that's not really true.
Right.
But they're coming into the school system. And so I'm just trying to understand what would be the purpose of having someone who already has obtained a terminal degree, has a doctorate. They wrote a book about the subject. And I always think you have to be a little bit out there. If you're willing to go all the way to a PhD, you're very passionate about what you're studying. What would be the purpose of having them go back to get educator preparation coursework? I understand they don't have, maybe knowledge on the pedagogy required to teach at the younger levels, but they already have probably taught in one capacity or another. I just feel like it's almost like a roadblock. Why are we doing this? They're already taking the 50-hour course on classroom management and whatnot. Why would they need that? Is this just a law that we have that requires it, or just doesn't make sense to me?
So it's the only difference between a CE and a limited CE is that an individual was able to waive one of the requirements, which are the subject matter course content. So, for example, they might waive that. They have to have a minimum GPA and a passing score on the praxis subject matter.
So if I could just add, so first of all, this is statutory, so this is a requirement. And I want to just, as recall, Lisa in her presentation was mentioning when we're doing dual enrollment, still a certificated teacher needs to review what's being taught. So this is not a disparagement of somebody with a PhD, but they do not necessarily have teaching experience. So there's the things that happen specifically within an educator prep program are designed to help that individual not only learn the content that they'll be teaching, but the pedagogy piece. And so that requirement, I think, remains. And so while they have extensive training in their content area, it's about that other side of teaching, which I think we all know is a pretty significant component. Classroom management stuff, as you mentioned, is part of it, but it goes kind of beyond that. So we certainly want to encourage folks with advanced degrees to come into the education field. And I think some of these changes will help make that easier. But I don't think that there's any statutory change here that kind of waives that part of the requirement.
Thank you. I just wanted to understand, is it statutory?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now I'd like to please call on Dr. Butcher with a question.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of echo what's being said here. When originally we were setting up the criteria for individuals to get their licenses. We had probably a couple years worth of discussions around essentially the same topics. And if you go back into the statute and into our code, basically it's all formed around three concepts. One is knowledge, two is skills, and three is dispositions. And when you get into the category of somebody, myself having a PhD, while I may have the knowledge base, I don't necessarily have the skills or the dispositions that would make me a good teacher. Jokingly, people would say, Henry Kissinger is a brilliant person. Would you want him teaching your children? Well, the knowledge base was there, but the ability to teach is something very different. And when you get into dispositions, that even throws another element in. So I think what we're proposing here is in compliance is what's being said with not only the statute, but our existing code.
Thank you. Anybody else have questions or comments at this time? I'm sorry, Kevin, did you want to? Okay.
Good
Thank
on our
you.
end.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you
you.
very
Thank
much
you.
for the presentation. It was excellent. Thank you. And I believe that brings us to the end of our meeting. I would like to remind that next month, the board members who are here for public testimony are Jeanette Pena, Mary Beth Berry, Ahmed Shahada, Ron Butcher, Elaine Bobrove, and Ned Johnson. So please, if you are unavailable for any reason, please get a substitute for yourself. And other than that, I would like to thank everyone for the meeting. And thank you, Board Member Bennett, for taking over during the glitch with technology. And may I please have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you very much. And may I please have a second? Thank you. I appreciate it. Everyone have a wonderful month in April, and we look forward to seeing you in May. And thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you.